guess I got nothing else to do besides be productive. So, gonna get to it. Alright, so basically what I'm looking at today is I've got the license plate relocated to the back. I've had it like that for a while now, but never bothered lighting it because I usually don't ride at night. So I bought a couple different options here I'm going to try. Got this guy here. It only has like a plastic nut on it and one diode, one LED diode, so not really sure how I'm feeling about that. And then got this one here that actually has, it's metal, got a nice metal ring on it. And I'm thinking I could fab up a bracket to mount it to the saddlebag mounts that are underneath the rear fender. So I'm gonna pull the rear fender off and give these some juice, see which one lights it up better. So, I do have a hot lead available that I saved from when I put these on. The LED wraparound switchbacks on, but I didn't use both of my hot connectors knowing I was going to be getting back in once I figured out what I'm doing to my plate. So I actually have both of these coming off of the one, because these actually went to my original two license plate lights. Gonna tap into here with my LEDs and maybe make some sort of a bracket or something to put here to like shine it straight down onto that, because I really don't want to do the license plate bracket, this little yellow guy here. I don't want to mess with that. That just seems like a freaking pain to do, and since I have this curved plate, like what good is that gonna do me anyway? So I have to have wires running down like inside the swing arm and up through here, and I'm not about dealing with that crap right now. So I'm gonna go for something a little bit more stealthy. Not stealthy, but more hidden. And possibly take this guy, somehow mount it to like a little L bracket or something here, and just like get it to where I can point it straight down at that plate. So I think that'll work. I think that'll satisfy having it lit. I mean, having it vertical is frowned upon. It's frowned upon. So having it lit will at least give me something. And we all know license plate lights aren't supposed to be functional. They're just supposed to have a light on them anyway. So I got too many things I'm trying to do at once. Too many overlapping projects. I just discovered something too, and I was worried this was going to happen, but it happened a lot sooner than I thought it would. When you buy cheap stuff, it's made cheap. And I bought these cheap because I didn't know if I was going to like them. Which that seems to be my mantra for everything I do these days. I just found a wire. I forget where the hell it went. Yeah, right there. Look at that wire. Dangerously close to breaking. Like literally the copper is all that's holding it together, and it's like the tiniest strand of copper I've ever seen. As far as gauges of wire go, like really. You can't at least have it like this thick. That's the difference between a $60 part and a $10 part for you. So I am now going to have to cut that, put a new connector on it. It was temporary. It was the summer. I just wanted to ride. So me. That's why this is the way it is. This is part of the factory, rear fender assembly, where there was like the rear fender piece that used to hang down here. Had lights under it and turn signals stuck off of these and all that good stuff. Well, I wanted to protect the the brake light housing right here, and then all these wires like where they naturally laid out anyway. And I wanted to ride, didn't want to worry about fabbing something, so I took the factory thing here and I just zip tied it in place. Whereas, it's typically bolted together. But I had nothing to bolt to since I removed it all, so yeah. It's hard to do the right thing when all you want to do is ride it. and now I pay for it. So anyway, I'm gonna end this clip here and come back and work on this tomorrow, most likely. Okay, so it's been a few days since the last time I decided to work on this. So I found a little L bracket, and I had to end up drilling it out with a larger drill bit to get my LED to fit through it. But I just bolted it right up to the saddlebag frame with some hardware I had laying around. I don't like the Phillips head. I've already kind of rounded it a little bit because it's just a cheap fitting. So I'm going to replace that before I call this permanent, because I know it'll just come loose if I can't get it tight enough. So, but I did try this in the dark the other night. I just kind of held it here and touched that to ground, and it lights up perfectly down onto my plate. So I want to call that good. I do have to make sure that my rear fender over there will clear it here. I'm not sure if it'll hit. I'm pretty sure it'll hit where it's at now. So I'll probably end up having to put it on the inside and angle it in or something. I don't know. I've got to figure that out still. But that's progress anyway. So before I decide to wire this up, I need to clean up this mess and figure out how I can protect all these little wires from just becoming a further casualty. Like this guy here that's barely hanging on by a strand. So yeah, need to figure that out. Honestly, these little wires, they suck to strip, because the tools that you have to strip the wires, in my experience, you end up just pulling all the copper and everything when you try to strip the wires, because it's just so thin. There's not a lot of tensile strength to it. So I end up having to go on the bench with a straight razor and just very finely just split it. Oh man, it's awful. Again, don't be like me. Don't buy the cheap stuff and just spend a little bit of money. Because you end up spending more time on it in the long run, it seems like, every time. So yeah. So I'm going to fix the broken wire here, and I'm going to figure out a way to maybe put more shrink tubing around these, and just somehow get these bundled together, and maybe use some black tape to kind of hold them together. And then I bought some mesh type wire loom that just fits right over it. So I might just sleeve everything with that, and I believe this is 1/2 inch, and then this is the 1 inch here. So I'm gonna try to use those and kind of clean some of this up. Got some other exciting news. So as part of my adventure on trying to get this rear fender thing, or rear mud flap rather, figured out, so I can avoid getting all this dirt all over the place in here, and I can finally get this cleaned up. This thing's gonna go. I talked to DynoJet. They have a customer loyalty program where basically what you do is you just contact their support. I actually talked to the guy on the phone for 20 minutes and went through a lot of details with him about this, because they don't support the Power Commander 3 anymore. So the two products they have out now are Power Commander 5 and the Power Vision. Power Commander 5 is a lot like this. It's, as far as I know, it's like a piggyback fuel tuner, but you can do a lot more with it. It's got a lot more features. I don't know exactly, but I do know that it obviously has a lot more than this. The other one's the Power Vision. The Power Vision's really cool because it just plugs into the data connector on the bike to flash the factory ECU, and then you can unplug it and not keep it on the bike. What I'm probably going to do though is leave it plugged into the data connector and probably mount it up here or something, just so I could have the real-time data that I could see, the coolant temperature, stuff like that. So yeah, today I'm going to be taking this thing off, which is just I just got to unplug a couple connectors here and it's done. So I'm going to take that off, get the serial number and all the info I need to give to DynoJet, tell them I got the 07 Night Rod Special and Reinhardt pipes, topless airbox, that sort of thing. So they will develop the map for me, or pull it from a database, I don't know, like a base map that I can start with, that they will send with the Power Vision. And then should be good to go on that front. Pretty excited for that. It's gonna be cool. So anyway, that's kind of where I'm at today. So I'm going to work on somehow getting this mess cleaned up and getting this wired in. And I think what I'm gonna do, obviously this wire goes to this one that I just stripped back the other night. It was an extra I had from when I redid all this. I'm gonna connect that there, and then probably what I'm gonna do, cut this guy way down and just put a ring terminal on it, just to put it right here. Because why have another wire going through here, and why have to get into another negative when literally it's a chassis ground? So ring terminal to here on this bolt, and it'll work. It'll call it good. And I know for a fact it'll work because that's how I tested it and it was fine. So hopefully I don't run into any more issues. We're about to find out. So, got some great news. Let's take a look here. So, I just laid the fender back up here, got it all lined up, you know, to see how that light would fit. And oh my gosh, talk about lucky. I mean, literally, I can move the fender like off where it's supposed to be mounted, and it hits. But I am in the clear. It looks like. Really like it when things go to plan. Really keeps me motivated. Let's not get frustrated and just throw in the towel. So, all right, I'm gonna pull the fender back off and get to work on, you know, like I said, putting the ring terminal on it and cleaning up the wiring and all that. So, I got my little surgery table out with my, you know, connectors and stuff. Let's hope I can get these little tiny wires to work without breaking them. And I'm probably gonna end up regretting it and wishing I would have chose, you know, switchbacks that had larger gauge wires, but whatever. See if I can make this work. And if I have issues, then I'll address it then. Okay, as you can now see, I decided to flip the bracket down because the fender, like where it was sitting, it was like up kind of high and the fender was like down here. So I was afraid there was gonna be a little bit too much of like a cutoff angle. And I kind of wanted the light to be a little bit more uniform than that based on how I tested it the other night. So I went ahead and just flipped the bracket 180 to get the LED, you know, like about a ½ inch further down. And it's still well hidden. I mean, the thing's like, the fender's like right here, so it works well. But now, you can see I've got my ring terminal put on here with a little bit of shrink tubing to help it kind of, you know, just protect it and keep it rigid. Because back here it's going to take a beating from, you know, obviously road grime and moisture and stuff like that. So hopefully that'll kind of keep it rigid a little bit. So I might end up redoing all that, to be honest with you. Really don't want to because it's going to take forever, but probably should. And while I'm at it, I put some of this black shrink tubing on here to help kind of reinforce those small gauge wires, in addition to putting some of you know, the mesh loom on there. I just finished cleaning up the wiring and putting some of the mesh wire loom on it. At the beginning of this project, if I would have really thought about like my lengths and stuff, it probably would have came out a little bit better to where I could have had like this coming out up here. But all that original mess, I kind of cleaned it up a little bit, repaired the broken wires, and I have it bundled in here now. So it should be a lot better protected, and it's, you know, not a total disaster under here like it used to be. Like I said though, I wish I would have kind of had the foresight to maybe lengthen my my positive wire here coming off of this to, you know, kind of get it back in here more. But I suppose I still could. It's just, God, it's kind of a pain. I might end up doing that anyway. I'm not sure, because, you know, my tail light has its own connector, right? These two are to serve the turn signals that are in the tail light, and, you know, they're kind of wired into the turn signal and license plate harness is what this one is. So basically I took my license plate lights and used those to give constant voltage to this, and then the red LEDs on this. And obviously the turn signal part of that is what powers this and sends signal to this. And then there's also obviously the brake light circuit, which, you know, makes it brighter. So yeah, I just dry fitted the fender over there, and I can make it work. God, I really don't want this to just be like floating right here. So yeah, probably gonna cut this and lengthen it. Just finished up with adding another section of wire to this. So now I have this entire bundle kind of where everything comes out together. Now it's back further, right? So I freed up some slack for my switchbacks to kind of get those further that way, to not have to, like, you know, be pinched underneath the fender when I put it back on or anything. Come on, stay there. And so now you can kind of see this little area where it's like cut out. All my wires, I should be able to like take this and, you know, somehow like loop it around to get rid of some slack or something. I don't know. I'll figure that out. Have those come up and then plug back into my, you know, my two connectors there. They kind of wrap around this side, then come over here, and they'll plug in there. So, man, taillight does not want to stay up there. Anyway, got that figured out, I think. We will see. So now I'm going to grab the fender, get it fitted, and then, yeah, should be wrapped up with this part. I just finished buttoning up the rear fender and everything on this after installing the license plate light. So, yeah, pretty happy with how that turned out. I ended up getting, you know, like you saw, the wiring cleaned up inside, and somehow got, since I had a lot of extra slack to pull this way toward the connectors, the main factory connectors, I somehow got it all to fit in here near the ECU, so that's good. I didn't have to fight it at all. It all routed nicely. It seems like there's quite a bit of area under this to route stuff, so that's always a plus. And yeah, so got the wiring for the switchbacks all said and done. Like I said, the wire, you know, the light for the license plate lights there. Wiring's all kind of tucked up in there. God, this thing's a mess. Still want to figure this out at some point. It's that factory piece I put there to kind of keep, you know, protect the underside of the taillight, and maybe I can take part of this and, like, you know, like put some of that license plate material, bolt it to it or something, and have it like bent up to where it's out of the way, and you don't, I mean, you just, when you're like behind it, you can kind of see it. I'm not the biggest fan of that. So, all right, so we're gonna call that one done for the day. And I did also take the power commander out, so it's laying over there on the bench. So it will be getting shipped back soon. I think now I'm going to pull this off, take the velocity stacks out, then I can pull this out and see exactly how I need to cut it. So I'm going to get to that next.